What's up, everybody? The DCU Lantern series got a huge update last week with the announcement of a major foe of the Corps, and I figured out where he fits into the story of the show. Let's get this casting news out of the way first, and I don't mean that in a bad way, I just want to get to my theory and it builds off of this. Deadline broke the news that Ulrich Thompson, who I know from the Banshee clips that I see online every day, it feels like I've seen that whole show, or at least like half of the show, on TikTok, has been cast as Hal Jordan's former mentor turned foe, Sinestro. He joins a cast of Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan, Aaron Pierre as John Stewart, Nathan Fillion is Guy Gardner, Garrett Dillahunt is Cowboy William Macon, Kelly McDonald is Sheriff Carey, and Perna Jagannathan is Zoe, and those last two are said to be the two love interests for both Hal and John in the series. However, we don't know much about the series, and so where Sinestro fits into the picture isn't as straightforward as training Ryan Reynolds' Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern movie. But I still think I know where they're headed with the show, thanks to an old rumor about the big bad in the DCU. One thing we do know about the show is that Hal Jordan is the veteran, hence the casting of Kyle Chandler, which means that Sinestro is not only older, but a veteran Yellow Lantern at this point. So, with that in mind, knowing Sinestro and Hal were not only mentor and trainee, but friends, while both were Green Lanterns, I think I figured out where he fits into this story. The official plot synopsis reads, the series follows new recruit John Stewart and Lantern legend Hal Jordan, two intergalactic cops drawn into a dark, Earth-based mystery as they investigate a murder in the American heartland. That's all we know so far, but I think Sinestro is going to be used as kind of the false villain of the show. He's of course one of Hal Jordan's most iconic villains, and I'm sure he's done some terrible things, some sinister things in the DCU once we meet him, and he'll probably keep doing them after we meet him, if we're being honest here. But I've got a feeling that we'll see Hal jump to conclusions in this show specifically to blame his former mentor and the Sinestro Corps for these murders that they discover. Think about it. We're not just going to be finding bodies in the Heartland. That wouldn't require lanterns. There's going to be some cruel twist in the way these murders take place in the show, and that is what's going to draw our Lanterns team to Earth. So once I landed on that aspect, it was obvious that's where the Sinestro Corps can fit into things because of their alien members and the villain, or rumored villain, of Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. That villain I'm referencing is the Center, a sentient island that's existed since the beginning of time. After the Big Bang, it moved itself into the Pacific Ocean and essentially started commanding prehistoric creatures like dinosaurs after saving the ones who survived. That's the key right there. It sends those dinosaurs out to gather necessary resources, and it wouldn't be a first for those missions to cause some chaos in the mainland. So, considering there's these attacks in the American heartland, and it's serious enough that two lanterns, I guess it could even be three lanterns, if Guy Gardner joins them on Earth for the investigation and it's not like an Oa cameo, have come to Earth, and the blame is going to fall on Sinestro early in the show before the mystery is unveiled. But like I said, the Sinestro Corps would just be the fall guys because of members like Arkillo and Lowe, and that would be our way of feeling that history that Hal and Sinestro are gonna have in the DCU without actually seeing it. But focusing on the center now, considering what James Gunn has said about Justice League New Frontier, the event that features the center as the big bad, and also just his taste in characters and villains, the center is so incredibly James Gunn. It also works really well, at least with the plan I've got in my head and that I'm laying out here to build up to the big unleash that would be the Justice League event, is you can throw these dinosaurs at basically any hero. The only problem with this though is that everyone involved in this series, the cast, the writers, James Gunn himself, the producer, has been saying it's grounded, grounded, grounded. So, how do you ground a story with dinosaurs and the rainbow of lanterns? Answer, you cook your balls off, writing that story set in the small town where John and Hal can essentially act as like the FBI or the CIA, any government agency coming in for an investigation. Which, speaking of the government, I should mention that Amanda Waller and the US government, those types of people in the US government, do actually know about the center's existence, but they don't tell the public, and I think that's how this murder investigation is going to stay contained into this small town and not spread. It could even have a presence in shows like Waller or even Creature Commandos Season 2 because of that, but I don't know, I kind of feel like those two things are on their own island, pun intended, but I just feel like those two things will tie into each other and not necessarily right now in the DCU, but maybe the overall plot of the DCU. Anyway, even though I just mentioned the Yellow Lanterns as something that could make this show more difficult to ground, I think it also gives you kind of an easy route to do so because of the Hal Jordan and Sinestro relationship. Everybody's had a mentor, maybe not one that becomes a supervillain, but maybe one that, turned their back on you or didn't believe in you. So, as strange as it sounds, I think Sinestro might be a grounding factor as well as a misdirect in this story. I know I got a little crazy there and probably went off the rails a bit, so let's just put this down into simple terms to wrap things up. Ulrich Thompson has joined the cast of Lanterns as Hal Jordan's arch nemesis, Sinestro. In that story that sees murders draw our lanterns to the American heartland, I think he'll be a decoy, a scapegoat, whatever you want to call it, for the true villain while grounding the show with his friendship and rivalry with his former apprentice, Hal Jordan. And so that'll do it for today's video. Sorry I got a little crazy there towards the end, but we put our tinfoil caps on here at the Nerdverse, and I appreciate you stopping by the channel, and make sure to let me know what you want to see from this Lantern show down in the comments below. But most importantly, have a great day.